Much for having me here.
Thank you, thank you. And the company name, I want to say it's Alpaca, right?
Yes, just like the an animal in Latin America.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah.
So let's jump into the conversation first. I'm very glad that you took the time and sit with me today. So, what does Alpaca do, and how does it help people in the investing and fintech world?
Sure. So firstly, my name is Yoshi. I'm the co-founder, CEO of the Alpaca. And the Alpaca, we're building a modern brokerage platform that allow businesses to build investing applications or trading apps that connects to stocks and then crypto investing to their end customers.
Oh, awesome, awesome. Um,
And I
is
guess
this
like you asked about how does it help people in
yes?
the investing and fintech world, right?
Right,
So
right.
yeah, I think like that would be like two things like how we are helping the people in the investing is that we currently work with about 150 businesses in 30 different countries. So I'm originally from Japan, and obviously our company is Y Combinator backed, very much Silicon Valley company, but our customers are really everywhere in the world. And because I'm from outside of the United States, we definitely saw this difference between in the U.S. and outside the U.S. If you are in the U.S., you have a lot of accessibility to bunch of that different investing products, even like the having the U.S. stocks, fractional investing, notional investing. That's very easy because of the Robinhood. But Robinhood is not available outside the United States, and because I know that fact, because I'm not from the United States, so we felt that we needed to solve that problem, so that like I, as a Japanese, don't get frustration that I don't have access to that cool applications, investing app and products, like those people in the United States. And we felt that that is problems everywhere in the world. So that is really the problem that we're trying to solve, so that we really can provide accessibility to the financial markets to everywhere in the on the planet. That's really our company goal, and we believe that that's really good for the people. Like having accessibility always helps. So that's something that we hope that we are helping the people there. And in terms of the fintech, we are really the infrastructure for the fintech companies to build their own applications for their end customers. So we don't necessarily go out and try to work or offer the products to the end individual customers or any individual users, because that like each country has its own different cultures, and that how it should be done, and we just stay on the background like AWS, and so we are staying like infrastructure, and we work with a lot of startups, fintech startups. So we hope that what we're building is helpful for the fintech companies.
Awesome, awesome. So I'm smelling very close unicorn at this moment, right? Very soon you're gonna be unicorn. I can feel it. Like if you can keep up, wow, that's awesome. Okay. So my next question will be: you guys raised a fund around like $15 million from SBI. Can you talk about the fund and how you're gonna use that, to grow in Asia, especially Asia and the entire world?
Sure. So we started, this business building the API first brokerage platform in 2017 when we applied for the broker deal application, and then 2018, we launched our first API trading API product, and went through the YC. Since then, we raised I think about $120 million so far. So the most recent 50 million fundraise from SBI is actually very unique compared to the rest of like $100 million we have raised in the past. The reason why for that is this is really our first strategic investments that we have received from the very specific corporation, instead of like the VC or venture capital. We decided to do this strategic partnership because SBI Group is the biggest online brokerage company in Japan. and also actually the second biggest brokerage company in Japan that has multiple businesses like banks, insurance companies, and all those businesses. It's a big conglomerate in Japan. So they are very much connected to all the financial institutions that we want to work with in Japan. And Japan is very much a relationship-driven business. So we have now very strong partnership with SBI that allows us to work with so many different companies that SBI are already friends with. So that really allows us to accelerate client acquisition and then expand and more focus into the Japan and then to the rest of Asia as well.
Okay, okay, that's cool. Yeah, I heard about that company. They're pretty big. I did a little bit of research. They're really big conglomerate. Right.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting history, right? So the SBI it's actually used to be stand for SoftBank Investments. That's why it's SBI. So it used to be part of the SoftBank, like the Masa Son,
Right.
but then they did the management buyout, and it became completely independent and not related to the SoftBank. So that's why they just call themselves as only the SBI, and then it's run by this specific person and the CEO president called Kitao-san. He's a very powerful figure in the Japanese financial services industry, and I think he's also chair a lot of like innovative products like tokenization and crypto side of the work in Japan. So it's not only that he's basically like built up this conglomerate, but also very much forward thinking how to bring the innovation to the country too.
Okay, awesome. Can you explain a little bit about how Alpaca works with other companies and your experience, also especially running the company in Asia and some other parts of maybe Europe or America?
Sure. So at the end of the day, Alpaca is a financial services company licensed under United States SEC and FINRA. So we are clearing custody execution broker dealer to open the brokerage accounts and the custody and customers cash and securities as well. So it is very much regulated. Hence, we have to do a lot of compliance work, anti-money laundering, AML work, KYC, know your customer, all those reporting to the regulators as well. So when we work with those fintech companies in different countries, we mostly work with their locally registered broker dealers or investment advisors. So when we do that, like they also have certain requirements and the conditions that they have to fill in order to be compliant under their local regulatory rule. And as the Alpaca as well, we have to be compliant to our regulator, which is United States SEC FINRA. So how we work with the very much collaborative efforts in terms of the operational process, but in terms of the tech side of the thing, which is integrations, like how the user experience works and all those things, it's all very much API based. And we have pretty cool API documents. Everything is open. There's a bunch of sandbox environment that people can try out. So in terms of the build of the application, one developer can actually come into our website and start building the his or her version of the Robinhood from scratch. So that's how easy it is. Of course, there's a bunch of the compliance side of the things, but that can be solved. And working with different countries, it is actually very interesting because each country really has a very different perspective to the investing. What I mean by that is if you even just compare between Japan and the United States, 40% of the household savings go to investing to stocks. And in Japan, only 10% of the household savings go to investing. So obviously, person in Japan and the person in the United States have a very different approach and the distance to the financial services and investing. Hence, the applications or services will look very different. Not only the language-wise, but also how or what kind of education you want to provide, or you don't need education at all. All those things makes huge difference in terms of the user experience that you're building when you are developing an app. So like those things are something that we continue to find extremely inspiring. How like each culture needs different approaches from the startup entrepreneurs.
Awesome, awesome. Wow. I didn't know a lot about Japan and the company that you're talking about. It's amazing. I mean, it used to be like San Francisco based. All those companies, big companies or amazing companies, are gonna come from San Francisco. But last 8 to 10 years, the trajectory has been changed. Like any company can come from any other place of the world, and they can do really good. Awesome, awesome. So my next question would be: you received a special license in Japan, right? How does it change the business in Japan?
Sure. So this is a license that we acquired. This is basically the broker dealer license that allows us to be an infrastructure for the Japanese non financial services company. So it's pretty complicated. So in order to offer investing service, just to make the thing simple, like if it's in US, in order to build a Robinhood product and provide the app, trading app to the end customers, you have to be a licensed broker dealer. In Japan, there's a similar rule. Like in order to do that, okay, Robinhood, the Japanese version, to the Japanese customers, you have to be licensed as a Japanese broker dealer. However, what we have structured is that because Alpaca is also a Japanese broker dealer, we can basically lend out our license stack to the non-broker dealer company to offer Robinhood-like trading app to the end customers in Japan. So this broker dealer license allows us to be the sponsor of the broker dealer license for the non-broker dealer tech startup companies to do the trading app to their end users. So that is a license that we have acquired last year through the actually this last year through the acquisition.
Okay, okay, interesting. So, so what new things in Alpaca planning to offer in United States since they already have Robinhood, let's say Webull, and then Coinbase kind of stuff. What is the offering for US? Because US is the biggest market. So yeah, can you please explain a little bit?
Sure. So Alpaca's business continues to be B2B2C. So because we are the infrastructure, we rarely touch the end individual customers. So we continue to stay that way in the United States. So we are basically powering the next versions of the Robinhoods or next version of the Coinbases that will happen in the United States. I think like what we are continue to find is that there will be a lot of innovation still happening in the financial services sectors in the United States, even after the Robinhood, because that targeted the millennials, for example. But there's a new generations happening, for example, Gen Z, and then there's a lot of more segmentation, not only the generation but also gender or sexual orientation or like races. Because financial services itself is a very much commodity product, it has to be very emotional and it can be very personalized to the certain groups of the people to do well. And in order for that to happen, the platform and the infrastructure has to be very efficient and cost effective and scalable. Like AWS allowed a lot of startups to be able to launch very cheaply and quickly. And I think like that's something that we're basically trying to build for the US next fintech wave as well.
So I would like to say, can I call you guys Shopify for all those businesses who's trying to work in the not all the financial companies, but let's say stocks or cryptos and
Yeah, like
stuff like
basically
that,
like
right?
the access to the financial markets or investing in general. So basically that like we are the platform, AWS, Shopify, like we're the infrastructure that's enabling those startups and businesses who wants to offer investing to their end customers.
Let's say I'm trying to open up a Robinhood type of business, right? Robinhood
Yes.
type in
Mhm.
Africa or a country like Bangladesh or
Yeah.
Pakistan, somewhere. So if I want to do that, if I want to create a company like Robinhood, how Alpaca can help? Can Alpaca help though?
Yes, of course. So the developer or the teams of the entrepreneurs come to our website and just sign up for the B2B2C product. We're calling that broker API, but like basically create a sign up an account, and you can ask for the API key, and then like you can just coding based on the API doc that we have, and you can just get to the basically demo state or pretty much like almost comprehensive state without talking with us at all. And then like you can, in order to launch that, of course, like it's a financial services, so we have to check the actual onboarding flow because we have to do right compliance like anti-money laundering, KYC to be compliant. But the services and the experiences the application will provide can be built without even talking with us because API documentation is there. It's all automated in terms of the key generation. You can test a bunch of the things. You can check the monitoring of the how the basic code base is working and all those things. So yes, like we those are the businesses that we are helping and we are focusing to help.
Awesome. It's really good to know. Wow. Okay, so I'd like to jump into YC stuff because YC is a
Yes.
big deal. So let's talk
And
about
like there's so
YC.
many YC companies in the daily newsletter. I love it too.
Right, right, right. Thank you very much. Right, yeah. I try to put as much as in my newsletter. It's like I've been running this for almost 7 plus years.
Yeah.
But honestly speaking, every morning I wake up, I see some of those company are doing good or raising funds or some
Yeah.
VC funds. It amazed me like okay how world is changing. Like last 7 years, world changed a lot,
Yeah.
right? Before COVID, after COVID, so many things
Yes.
so many issues came out, Me Too, and then
Yeah.
so many
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
issues.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
changed a
and
lot.
I've been a like like of course like continue to be a like reader of a big fan of your newsletter, and like every time the new joiner or sorry like new hire comes to our business, we recommend okay these are the newsletters that you need to subscribe because I think like reading your newsletter just like as you said like the Me Too or even like the women led black
Right,
red I see the trend just
right,
even looking at the
right,
titles and pictures of your newsletter,
right,
like oh, this is what's happening, right? Like it really shows the trend. So yeah, I like of course I read the articles itself, but just skimming through the those letter itself,
right.
it's extremely valuable to me.
Thank you very much. Thanks for saying that. And do you know you are the first male person who I'm trying to take the interview, right?
Oh wow,
I started my YouTube channel like very recently, like less than 2 months.
yeah,
So all the first three person who came to my YouTube show,
yeah,
or you can call it a podcast. I call it Hasan Tarek Pod.
yeah.
So all of them are women. First,
Oh
second,
wow.
third, all of them are women. You are the first male I'm taking like the time or having the interview or a coffee chat, whatever you call. Like
Oh, it's my
interview
honor.
sounds so serious. Like it's not that serious. We are having a friendly chat, and I want people to know that like it's not an interview. Interview is like
Yeah,
okay, you
yeah,
gotta have a suit and then you have to
yeah,
impress somebody. No, you are not impressing anybody. You are just trying
yeah,
to say the truth. And on my
yeah.
newsletter,
Exactly.
I try to be non-biased. Like
Mm,
whatever is happening, I try to say the truth. So
yeah.
rest is on the people. People are loving it, and I close the newsletter like I don't let anybody sign up. They have to email me
Mm,
in order to sign up these days because I guess like I have enough sign ups by now.
yeah.
I mean I closed it out because I want only focused people who's really into these
Mm,
things. Like not everybody. So
right.
hopefully I'll have more sign ups though. However,
Yeah, it's working, man.
let's let's and another thing like this newsletter uh, helped me out to contact with so many influential people like you.
Mm,
It's so amazing. Like I'm like, how do I know them? Just because of this newsletter. Because you
mm,
guys reach me out, I can reach out to you guys
yeah.
just because of this, and it's amazing. If I don't make any money out of the newsletter, even though I do, but it's an amazing thing. I really love
Yeah.
to talk to people like you, or
Yeah.
sometimes some of the co-founders come to New York. They ask me like, "Hey
Yeah.
Hassan, do you have time for a coffee?" I love it. I really love it. It's awesome.
Yeah, what you're doing is super valuable, man. Like, I mean, it's amazing. Like, that's how it is. Like, it's been kind of my dream. I think I wrote the first email to you probably like 3 years ago when
Right,
we big fundraise.
right.
Like, my picture being on your daily newsletter. That has been like my goal. That was my goal. Right? Like, I want to be here. Right? Like, that was my goal. So yeah,
Yeah, so most of the subscribers are VCs. Like majority of the subscribers are VCs.
yeah, yeah,
Some startup co-founders and some
yeah,
financial people like investment banker
yeah,
and stuff. Mostly VCs. So
yeah.
yeah, I'm glad I could run it for last 7 years. Let's see how many years I can run it. So
Right.
Warren Buffett said like. If you can make money out of something that you love, you wake up in the morning and do the
Yeah.
same thing even though you are not getting paid, you are so lucky.
Right.
So I think I'm pretty lucky. However, let's let's get into the interview again.
Yes.
Alpaca is a Y Combinator startup,
Yeah.
right? How did Y Combinator help you guys? Can you just elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, so YC, I think like it's really about like during the YC and then after the YC, right? And so like the YC program is 3 months program, and the last like final day is basically the demo day to meet the investors. But during the even this program, I think like I learned like so many things. Like the first thing is really how to focus, like focus on something, only one thing that really matters, to bring up certain KPI or just make something, get it done. And every 2 weeks, like we have this session every 2 weeks that we have to focus and get it done and clarifying what needs to be done. So that focus and that sharpen up the pencil to make sure that we're really thinking about very very few things or even one, that importance. Like I really learned that through YC. And then second thing is that like towards the demo day, we also had to, because like it's a very small short amount of time that we get allocated to talk about ourselves. So we need to be very 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 like again simple. It's not about how to be like persuading to the people. It's really more like firstly we need to have people understand what we do as quickly as possible, and that those mindsets are so hard to come by naturally. So like I had to really learn through that program to really understand what it means, which I continue to try to do the same thing as much as possible to our team members at company, so that like the presentation skills go up, and those simple things do matter. And the third is definitely the network, and then like being the YC alumni really opened up a lot of doors to the businesses and networks and the people. So those three things are probably the ones that's continue to help us by going through the YC.
Okay, okay. YC is way different than any other startup accelerator, as I know. What suggestion would you have for a person who's trying to get into YC?
So I think like it's really important to have like what is the problem that you are trying to solve. I think like it may be just really basic question, but like the having some kind of clarity like what you want to solve, it's always helpful, and that if it's relatable to you, that's always helpful. Those basic things is of course important, but the second thing is that um, do not ever give up. For example, like I applied for YC probably 6 or 7 times, getting in before getting into YC. I think like every application I probably pivoted because the business changes, or like we were doing the complete different things, but we never really gave up, or I never gave up, because we knew that YC really changes our lives being an entrepreneur and being successful or not in this startup ecosystem. So the super important thing is like you will continue to apply. You do it until you get in. So there's no failure.
So you tried 6 to 7 times.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, awesome, man. That
I
was that
keep
was great.
I kept getting rejected, but like I didn't care because it's no risk. It doesn't cost any money, so why not, right?
Awesome, right? So when you were there, who was the CEO? Sam or
At that
Paul?
time it was I think it was Sam. Yes, it was Sam.
Sam Altman, right?
Yes, and my partner was Aaron Harris,
Mm.
and that Michael continues to be very big since then as well. Like he continues to play key role as well
So you're
still.
talking
But
about Michael, right?
yeah, Michael. Yeah,
Okay, I know. I know who you're
yeah,
talking about. Right. All of them are pretty smart. Like all of the YC
oh yeah,
guys who really run it. Like Paul Graham is a different level of thinker. Like I
yeah,
think he's one of those guys you can compare with Steve Jobs. Like the way he thinks. Like
yeah,
really great guy.
yeah, yeah.
And
It really hurts. Like Hacker and Painters. Like the title itself says it. Like oh wow, like it's really combining their nerdiness into the liberal arts and art thing. It's like brain like right brain combining left brain. Just simply that it's not that easy to do, but I think it's well articulate like how it should be done.
yeah. Now their CEO is Gary Ten. He's another smart guy.
Yes.
He also has a YouTube channel. Awesome one. I really love it. I never miss
Mm.
that. I never miss any of those Gary's episode. And tell me a little bit about Sam. Like I know we are getting a little off track, but just very little
Yeah.
bit. He's a very interesting guy. Super
Yeah.
genius and very interesting. Tell me a little bit
Yeah.
about Sam Altman. Whatever you have seen. Like after ChatGPT, people started to know him like, oh, this is the
Yeah.
guy for chat. I mean, behind the chat GPT or
Right.
Open AI. But
Yeah.
I knew him from like way before, like back in 2015, 16.
Yes.
I knew him.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about him.
I think my impression of him is that he's always very calm and then think straight regardless of the what other people are saying and then really the like understand what's happening around the world. So because I think during Sam is there, it's really also about scaling was pretty important to make sure that that YC does more support to the entrepreneurs and the ecosystem in general. So he executes that by understanding what's happening in the world. And I feel the even looking at the AI or what is it, WorldCoin, there's always this kind of longer term vision of the how the world will be. And then I think there's a bunch of the short term volatility of the there's a hype or non hype or crash or whatever. But as long as you're looking at the certain distance away, you will always get there. And I feel Sam is the guy who executes that way, regardless of it was YC or the AI or eye scanning and identity, basically, right? So that's the impression that I have about Sam.
Awesome. Right. Okay, let's get a little more personal. I would like to ask you some personal question, not a crazy one. Just can you tell us a little bit about yourself and a person, Yoshi, right? I mean,
Yeah,
whatever you want to talk about and
right.
how you came up with the idea after pivoting so many ideas, I believe.
Yeah,
So up to this Alpaca, it's in a fintech field. So how did you
yeah.
come up with the idea and who you are as a person?
Yeah, I think the firstly about this Alpaca business that we're doing, which is the API first, brokerage platform. When we started our company, we never thought about that this was going to be something that we will do. Like as I said, we continue to pivot to try to figure out what we should be doing, and I feel like there is a word of product market fit,
Hmm.
but also I feel like there's a word of the founder product fit.
Hmm.
So even though there's a product market fit, if the founder is not fitted into the product, it's so hard to continue doing something because entrepreneurship is always painful, and if you don't find the pain in the daily life, you feel kind of weird that you're probably missing something, right? So that is the kind of the experience that we had. We ended up doing what we're doing because my co-founder Hitoshi comes from the very much heavy database engineer and pretty big in the Postgres community. So very much doing the developer experience side of the things. So he just kind of realized that there is really no broker dealer product out there built for the developers. And that was really the simple idea that let's build something for the developers in this investment sector, which I came from because I started my career at the Lehman Brothers and I day traded myself for a few years. So trying to combine that with each of us being passionate about just happened to be let's build developer first product in the capital markets and investing. So that's how we really came up with the idea initially. And then, it ended up to be okay. After launching that, we saw so many companies who wanted to use this API to build their versions of the Robinhoods and the wealth fronts, basically. And then we realized this. I realized my personal frustration much longer, frustration that I had, which was I never got to experience if I was in Japan to the something that I'm experiencing in the United States. Just access to bunch of the cool investment products, cool financial services, even having the U.S. credit card. It's impossible if you're outside the U.S. So how can we bridge that gap? So that has been always a frustration that I had, just being where I am or the country where I'm from. I have a lot of unfair way of not being able to use some services. So that was always frustrating. I always felt this is not fair. So that was really the basis of how we ended up to be extreme passion of myself personally as well. How we can bridge the gap of this unfairness that I have been experiencing myself, and I'm not the only one. And that's I know for sure.
Right, right. Great answer. Okay. And as a CEO or as a leader, tell me about your style, the way you manage a team, approach to a team, and build and grow a company like Alpaca.
I think the leadership or the CEO role, I feel changes around based on the phase of the company as well as the market environment that forces the company to be. When the COVID happens, pandemic happens, and we have to grow, and then interest rates spikes up, and then we have to be super slim and be efficient. There are a bunch of different decision making that we would have to do. But I think ultimately, as a CEO, what I feel is okay, I'm the ultimately accountable or responsible individual for whatever the consequences that will be done. That can be painful process of the doing things or hiring people or making some product decisions. Of course, I'm not the sole decision maker. I trust all the leadership members, but ultimately that's my accountability and responsibility. So that's how I feel, and I try to act that way. But actual specific leadership style, I probably rely on so many leadership members around myself because I'm so fortunate to have super talented, super smart, driven individuals around myself. So I feel extremely grateful that I can rely fully on our leadership members and that all the employees at Alpaca.
Great. So let's shift gear to startup ecosystem. So I would like to ask you that what do you think are the main challenges and opportunities in the fintech and investing app industry right now? And how does Alpaca plan to tackle them?
I think the biggest challenge right now is really this hype and crash cycle that we have been experiencing as a fintech. So after the pandemic, obviously fintech became a buzzword, and then if you're a fintech, you get funded at the so much high, crazy valuation revenue multiples, and then it just crashed down into the ground that if you're a fintech, you really don't get funded, even though your product is good. Especially early stage, it may be difficult because the revenues are there, numbers are there. It becomes more of the idea phase. So that is, I think, the biggest challenge right now that we're experiencing. It's not really fundamental your challenge. It's just more of the market cycle challenge. But the market cycle timing challenge is still a challenge that we as a fintech entrepreneurs and companies have to go through. and we have to figure out the way. So in order to do that, what I think that we are tackling as Alpaca is really diversification of the businesses in geographically, and then where the capital is. So what I mean by that is if your business is only in the United States, or if your business is only, I don't know, Europe, a lot of capital is dried up because of that. Most of the Western world capital is dried up. But if you are in, for example, Middle East, or if you are Southeast Asia, or in Japan, it's all different. Like the stage of the fintech ecosystem nuance. Of course, there's up and down based on the interest rates and all those things, but still risk capital is there. If you are to compare that to the United States. So how we are tackling as a company is that how we are spotting the opportunities globally, because economy is connected, but it's still not moving exact same way yet.
Right, you're talking about pre-COVID time and post-COVID time. It's not same yet. It's gonna take a couple of more years, maybe 8 to 10 years. I don't know. And the interest rate hike changed the trajectory of investment, changed the trajectory of pretty much everything. Like, wow.
Yeah,
What's
I,
right
I
now?
I
Like
think
eight
at at
percent.
the same time, if you look at those countries that already had super high interest rate even before U.S. raised the interest rate, it's not much of the impact, right? If you look at India, if you look at Turkey, if you look at Brazil or Latam, oh, what are you talking about? Interest rates has been always high, inflation has been always there. Well, what are you talking about, right? So that nuance is so different from the what we think as the common sense. And that's how I love what we're doing, because we get to get exposed to those non common sense every
Mhm.
day.
Right, right. Okay, so my next question will be Alpaca has a developers community. How does it help the company?
So I think before talking about developer community helping us, we really want to be the developer community company, right? What we're building is really the product for developers. So if we don't get supported by developer community, we're not being successful. So that is really our identity. So we will continue to invest, that is the most important thing to our company. So we will do that. But the reason why we're doing this, the how developer community helps us, is that um, now developers has so much more decision making power of what the company makes, or the what the company spends money on, which product that you want to use to build your product, or what kind of vendors that you want to use. It's really come from the engineers and developers, because they are the ones who's actually coding to connect pieces by pieces to build something big. So the developer community is the even more decision making power to spend where the dollar is spent, and then make something as a direction. So that's how I feel that developer community is so important. And that how it's helping us is that developer community is actually helping us to grab more business opportunities, because they refer us the businesses, because she or he works for startup companies, or she or he starts startup companies, she or he gets recruited into big companies to talk about us, right? So those are the how we get extreme support by the developer community members.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so I'd like to ask you about future vision. So, what are the, what are your plan for Alpaca in terms of growth, innovation, and its role in the fintech technology world?
Yes, sure. We will continue to march forward until our vision is fulfilled. Our vision is open financial services access to everyone on the planet. So it is 8.5 billion people,
Hmm.
and we are still not there yet at all. So that is really our goal, and we want to accelerate that as quickly as possible. And then, in order to do so, we continue to build more products offering. Like it's not only U.S. stocks, it's not only crypto. We're gonna be launching like options, different types of the account types, like joint accounts, taxable accounts, like global stocks, fixed income. Like those things has to happen in order to do so. And also like we have to be able to build everything from scratch internally, and that has been our strength because that allows us to build the best API product. If you are building and owning the systems and technology internally, you have flexibility to build API how like that your developers want to use. And I think like that is the really the way for us to stay ahead of the curve as the the industry continues to progress. So I think like that is continue to be the key.
Wow. So I have one more question, and
Yeah.
after that, we might can call it a day. But I'll ask you some other questions too. I'm not gonna let you go like this. I'm really loving it. So it's very amazing. Like I
Yeah, yeah,
did know
it's super
about the
fun.
company, but I didn't know like the nitty gritty of the things that you guys are doing. However,
Yeah.
can you share your thoughts on the future investing, trading, and fintech? And how
Mhm.
Alpaca plans to stay ahead of the curve, which is like competitors and stuff, and how you gonna beat other people in order to survive. It's not an easy world out there. You know that, right?
Mhm. 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 I think the knowing like who we are serving really matters, right? Because like financial services is for every single person, and like how we get there has to be extremely strategized and prioritized. And it has been very difficult. For example, during the money is capital is cheaper during the pandemic, because you didn't have to make like drastic prioritization. You are okay doing multiple things at once, which actually like created slowdown, because like you are not thinking about prioritization, and then you are doing something that will take longer. So we continue to find the places and things that allows us to move faster and grow faster, instead of like going to the places or segments that may be big, but if that's not going to move fast, then it's not like easy for us to nail down those businesses quickly. So like knowing who we are targeting at the timing by timing, it is super important. And then in order for us to really stay ahead of the curve, is continue to invest in. We are the best developer experience product out there, and the best experience developer tool out there. Like having the love and the support from the developer community, we feel that it is the best way for us to stay ahead of the curve.
Okay, awesome. Um, so my question would be: is there anything I'm missing? Like I tried to ask all the questions I have, and I tried to touch all the places I could. So can you tell me if I'm missing anything? Please feel free to say. I mean, audience are here; they will listen to you, and I hope they're gonna love this show. It's by
Yeah.
far one of the best show I have. So please.
Well, I guess like the one thing that I would want to say is that we continue to look for partners. Like I think like the people who listen to your podcast is the readers of the your newsletters and more, and which means that like having interest in the startup ecosystem and like learning about new growing startups. And I think like for us is that we are infrastructure, and then platform for the startups to build the products. So we really want to be hooked, and then the plugged into the entrepreneur and startup ecosystem. So that like please do remember like what Alpaca does, and like talking about Alpaca to be extremely helpful for our business. So it's a very much shameless advertisement of what we do, but it's super helpful.
Hey, you have to do that. All the advertisement, it's gonna help you out. Like there is no shame on selling your own product. So come on, that's why it stands for. You see, like Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett, they drink Coca-Cola in 96 years
Yeah,
old guys, right?
exactly.
96, 99, something like that. They're drinking
True.
Coca-Cola, and then
Yeah.
cookies, like See's candies and cookies,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. 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 And Dairy Queen ice cream.
Dairy Queen, right? So think about it. What they do? Do you think they do it every single day? They would have been diabetic or would have been dead by now if they
I
do
know
it.
that's a mystery.
That's
I
a
know that's a
mystery, right?
mystery. That is true.
Like how come they do it in the every single meeting? And I heard like Buffett he eats one McDonald's burger every day. I mean, I
Wow.
don't know. He eats every day, and he always has the change. He never uses credit card and stuff like that. He has
Yeah.
a money clip, and his money
Yeah.
is on the clip
Yeah.
with the changes, all those dimes or dollars and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
little changes, like maybe $3.73 or $8.25. He has that money before he wake up, and he takes that money, he goes to McDonald's, buy his burger,
Oh,
and go to
yeah.
his office, and he always does drive through. I mean,
Yes.
man,
Wow. The
this
drive
is
through.
this is something awesome, right?
Yeah. Yeah. From the Nebraska,
From
Omaha.
the Nebraska, right? So from since you just remind me, I'd like to share one of the stories from Michael Morris. So it's like six,
Yes.
7 years old. Is Stanford talk,
Yeah.
and Michael Morris from Sequoia Capital. He's
Mm-hmm.
one of those guys. He was knighted by the Queen. So
Mm.
he was asked in that interview in Stanford, like, who's the greatest investor of all time? He could have named any VCs or somebody, but he said like, yeah, somebody sitting in Omaha. He just said that somebody sitting in Omaha, and we all know him. So he's the greatest investor of all time, and
Yeah.
he's enjoying his life. He's like
Yeah.
right now 92, 94, something like
Yeah.
that. I stopped counting after 85. Like, you know what? Let's not count and just add six or
That's
eight.
smart.
Yeah,
That's
so
super
add
smart.
six more year with him. That's gonna be Charlie Munger. Charlie's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
6 years older than him, right?
Yeah.
So it's awesome. Hey Yoshi, it was really great talking to you, and I learned
No,
a
great
lot
talking.
about your
I
company.
appreciate this opportunity. It's super fun. Super fun. Like, thank you very much for this.
Thank you very much, and I would like to invite you again. Make sure you let me know when you raise your fund next time and go to
Yes.
IPO or whatever.
Yes.
I would like to put that news on my top of my newsletter. Right, I'll be happy
Appreciate
to
that.
do that. Okay, Yoshi.
I appreciate that. That's I just take a screenshot of that, like, the newsletter of myself, and I basically like send it to my friends, like the screenshot too. So that's how I really care about your newsletter.
I'm glad, man. I'm really glad that you loved my newsletter. I mean, it's made my day. I'm so happy
Yeah.
that you liked it, and so many people out there, they love it. They send
Yeah.
some letters to
Definitely.
me. Sometimes I'm like, okay, that's great. Like, hey Hassan, your newsletter is great. Just keep up the good work.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, cool. That's great. Okay, Yoshi. So we're gonna end this session over here, but
Yep.
I'll look forward to talk to you again very soon.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Okay,
Thank you,
Yoshi.
for a connection like this. Like, I really appreciate your time, and I appreciate this relationship and connection, so friendship. And thank you very much for this.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
You too, man. Thank you, Hasan.